Hello, I'm News, and here's some of me. High-end Roombas can apparently map out your home, and these maps may soon be sold by iRobot, the Roomba company, to other companies for reasons. And in an ominously related story, an Amazon Echo allegedly called the cops on a couple during an argument, and this is all... Okay, Google, what is all this?
Fine. This is all fine.
Good. Are you sure?
Stop asking questions, Cody.
Okay.
There's nothing to worry about.
I said okay.
Nothing to worry about.
Here's some news in a segment we like to call, wait, where'd all that sperm go? Because a lot of the sperm is gone. Apparently the sperm count of men from America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand has dropped by more than 50% over the past 40 years, which scientists warn could mean the extinction of our species, to which science likers ask, like, okay, but like, we do some light cloning already and splicing and artificial wombs and stuff, and you can fix it with science, right? The allegedly catastrophically large decrease is due to either a complex combination of environmental, technological, and public health factors like exposure to chemicals and pesticides, smoking, stress, and obesity, or this f***ing feminazi social wussification of men that makes them, you know, just like we used to chop wood and stuff, you know? But now? Nah. And like, sharing spaces of discourse and power after historically dominating them? Like, I just want my sperm back. This has been, wait, where'd all that sperm go? Here's some news. Trump talks politics with Boy Scouts amid Russia probe, which brings us to another installment of headlines more like deadlines, deadlines more like dead wines, dead wines more like bad headlines. We don't need to go to the graphic for this. Now, the Boy Scout speech is worth talking about because it's pretty gross to see the president politicize a jamboree and manipulate these kids' patriotism and lie to them a little about stuff and brag about his mid-range electoral college win and rile them up against his predecessor who was an actual Boy Scout, unlike, quote, him, end quote. And it's especially disturbing since just a couple of days later at a rally in Ohio, a young man was brave enough to protest by himself at a Trump rally, peacefully holding up a banner, and then the crowd attacked him, and the police choked him, and the president watched, and then he was dragged away, and the president said this to the crowd.
Boy, he's a young one. He's going back home to mommy. Oh, is he in trouble?
Anyway, back to the president's speech to the Boy Scouts earlier in the week when he talked about, I don't know, integrity or decency or honor or some other shit probably. This asshole. Sorry, this wasn't supposed to be about the president's speech from which the Boy Scouts distanced themselves immediately. It's about how this Boy Scout speech has literally nothing to do with Russia, so stop writing headlines like this. Don't get me wrong, Russia's aid of and influence over the president's election campaign is probably an important story, but it shouldn't take up headline space in an article not about it. Like, we get it, man. There's a Russia probe. There's always a Russia probe. You can say it for anything. Trump fires FBI director in charge of Russia probe amid Russia probe. Actually, that's not a good example. Trump learns guitar amid Russia probe. There we go. It's just manipulative, narrative-pushing bull's poop that doesn't help public perception of the media, and you should stop. Like, we get it with the Russia probe. And now, onto the Russia probe. Here's some news. Earlier this week, or like 8 years ago, Jared Kushner announced that he didn't help anyone collude with Russia, and there was no shady business during his meeting, the one he and the Trump campaign have denied existed for the past year. And to get into this, let's go to former Fox News sexual harasser and our current Russia correspondent, Bill O'Reilly. Bill?
Jared Kushner.
Nope, it's Jared Kushner, but okay, go.
Now, is this the high school prom king or not? He gets out there, he looks like he's 17 years old, 18, all right?
But, Bill, I mean, yeah, he looks like the Slenderman's younger brother, Billy, but is that really your argument? I asked facetiously before reading your tweet. Quote, Kushner looks like a high school senior. Hard to believe he's fixing elections with Putin. In fact, impossible to believe. Sorry, CNN. Bill, you look like the Crypt Keeper's ghost melted, but I'm not going to hold you to the standards or abilities of the melted ghosts of Crypt Keepers. Also, sometimes 19-year-olds invent machines to remove millions of tons of plastic from the ocean. And Jared Kushner is 36, which presidents can be. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Bill. You're being very patient with me.
Because I didn't do anything. You know, did I believe him? There's no reason not to believe him.
Bill, I have to ask, having not been at Kushner's hearing that he only agreed to do behind closed doors, not under oath, you can say there's no reason not to believe him despite his year of lying about it and knowing that he already failed to disclose meetings on his security clearance form, which is a felony, and then updated that form with more meetings but still left off the Russia meeting, which is still a felony, and his excuse for his original mistake was that someone pressed send too early, even though it's a physical form that you submit along with interviews of you and people in your life.
He just put it this way. If you were Putin and you wanted to undermine the American election, is Jared Kushner where you're going? I mean, I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? Great. What a preposterous idea that if you wanted to influence and support a candidate, you'd go through their very close son-in-law who works on the campaign and is now in charge of ending the opioid epidemic and bringing peace to the Middle East and fixing the criminal justice system, among many other things. Closing statement, Bill.
I can almost guarantee you that Gerald Kushner did not collude with anybody to do anything.
Oh, well, as long as you can almost guarantee it. Wait, Bill, what did you say?
Gerald Kushner did not collude with anybody.
Gerald Kushner?
Gerald Kushner.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. You do, after all, have 7 copies of 6 different books on your shelf. Thanks for the report, and thanks for knowing his name. Oh, lordy Lou, you know what that means. It's Crom Watch. Just days after being released from jail, the babe bombshell is at it again, this time for trespassing at SeaWorld. When asked for comment, the iRobot Beefcake said orcas deserve a full life in the ocean, not a life sentence of swimming endless circles until they drop dead from disease. He's such a firecracker! This comes right after the Cromwell was thrown into a Crom cell for a fracking protest in 2015, and marks his 3rd arrest since protesting cat torture at the University of Wisconsin. It looks like America's sweetheart turned bad boy just can't get it together. While many on Twitter are blaming drugs and the pressures of maintaining his dangerous grandpa persona, this comedian pretending to be a reporter has his eye on Crom Bomb's steamy from sex marriage with soap actress Anna Stewart. Methinks there's trouble on the J Stu train. Tweet hashtag Team J Stu forever if you disagree, and be sure to check out our exclusive Crom Watch Instagram, where we count down J Well's most famous nut slips. This has been Crom Watch. Here's some news. The Trump administration has filed a brief claiming that an anti-discrimination civil rights law protecting gay people from being fired for being gay doesn't protect gay people from being fired for being gay, demonstrating evidence that the president's past remarks about standing up for the LGBTQ community were what some might call outright lies. It's a shame there weren't signs of this early on.
I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens.
Flags upside down. The news broke on the same day the president took to Twitter to say, quote, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you." You're f***ing welcome, man. Though the decision was reportedly discussed with his Secretary of Defense Mattis, it was still a surprise to Mattis that the president announced it on Twitter while he was on vacation. One Pentagon official said, quote, "What, we're taking orders from tweets now?" And others in the military were worried that his first tweet was going to declare war on North Korea because once the president said to the entire world, quote, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow ... 9 minutes passed, and then he said the thing about not allowing transgender people in the military, to which the Joint Chiefs have just responded by saying there will be no modifications to the policy and they'll treat all of their personnel with respect until the president's direction has been received by the Secretary of Defense and the secretary has issued implementation guidance, because maybe the president shouldn't just tweet haphazard and half-baked orders on his way to dinner. The tweets in question claim that it's too expensive to pay for the treatment, and their presence would be a disruption, which generally ignores the 15,000 active and 150,000 retired trans-military personnel, and specifically ignores people like Transgender Staff Sergeant Logan Ireland, or Kristen Beck, decorated veteran and former member of SEAL Team 6. Trans people aren't a burden or disruptive, and transitioning is different for everyone, and some people will transition before and after service. And if there are isolated cases of treatment being a problem, they would be addressed, like all soldiers who are deemed unfit for combat, on a case-by-case basis, like how some cases of asthma are acceptable. But if you use those instances to justify banning all transgender people, that's discrimination. But how will the genders live together? I don't know, ask Marines. Anyway, because we live inside an actual farce, reportedly the president made this decision to get funding for his wall, which is appropriately a symbol of division and otherhood, or American pride and strong borders and a big beautiful wall or whatever that Mexico is going to pay for by banning trans people from our military. So I guess let's look at the other part of his tweet and reasoning for the decision: money. To be not quite exact, it costs too much money. To be slightly more exact, it costs about $2 to $8 million, which brings us to a game we like to call, But What Does Other Stuff Cost? Welcome to the game! There's no winner, everybody loses. So, treatment for trans soldiers and vets like Ireland and Beck costs about $2 to $8 million a year. It's been pointed out that the military spends about $84 million only on Viagra and other erectile dysfunction drugs for all those spermless dicks we have now. It cost taxpayers more than $48 million for the president's so far 40 Gulf trips. Each flight to Mar-a-Lago costs about $2 million. Maybe the president is just bad with money. He donated his first quarter salary to the national parks, but wants to cut billions from the Department of Interior's budget. He donated his second quarter salary of $100,000 to the Department of Education, from which his budget cuts $9 billion. And sure, he's foregoing his salary in a really basic and obvious propaganda move that's ostensibly meaningless, since he's still making money from his hotels and resorts across the globe, one literally down the street from the White House. I was talking about Trump discriminating against trans people in the military and gay people in the workplace, wasn't I? Oh, all right. Well, what else? Wait, do I have to? No? Great. Bye! Hey everybody, thanks for watching some of the news. If you want to subscribe to our channel, click the big C in the middle. If you want notifications, click the bell icon. And if you want more news, I don't know, look at other places. There's a lot of it.